Sign up with MyBookie. Use our promo code Gators to get your first ever deposit match dollar for dollar. Bet anything, anywhere, anytime with MyBookie. Get the Manscaped Performance Package at manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping when you use code GatorsBreak20.
Want more Gators Breakdown? Join Gators Breakdown Plus. Starting at $3 a month, get access to unique episodes, plus a blog, chat room, giveaways, shout-outs, and more. Gators Breakdown Plus is furthering the interaction with fans and listeners like you. Head to GatorsBreakdown.supportingcast.fm to join Gators Breakdown Plus today. Gators Breakdown, because there's never a dull moment in Gator Nation.
The Gators Breakdown podcast is ready to go. I'm your host, David Waters, and you can find me on Twitter at GatorDave_SEC. Coming at you day after South Carolina defeats Florida 40-17. And a game we had no idea would play out like that, but it does as the Gamecocks dominate the Gators Saturday night in Columbia, South Carolina. So I'm just walking in the door. Literally, it's close to 5:30 Sunday evening. Drove back from Columbia, me and the family. So got in a little bit of notes, but had to travel at the same time. So this one's going to be a little more freestyle, free form. Here we go. It's just a lot to get into. This game itself, even more big picture as we sit here with another loss, Florida's fifth loss of the season now, 4-5 on the year. And as you can tell with the title of this episode, hitting rock bottom. Dan Mullen has hit rock bottom in his time at Florida right now. Can he dig himself out? That's another question in of itself. But for now, where we sit on the day after South Carolina destroying Florida, Florida sits rock bottom right now. So plenty to get into. Game itself, big picture stuff, Dan Mullen, future, all that stuff. I'll get into it. I won't hide, shy away from from that one today with that. But starting with this game, inexcusable in every meaning, every sense of the word. I've felt that way. A lot of you probably felt that way about other games. I have felt that way about other games too. But just keep piling up, and this one, I mean, there's no excuse for how Florida shows up. I mean, just like the LSU game for Florida earlier this season, throw out everything that you thought could have, should have, would have happened once again. It happened again. And once again, out-prepared, out-coached, outplayed by South Carolina. A first-year head coach, third-string quarterback, led South Carolina to a 30-10 halftime score, 40-17 final score. Look, a first-year head coach that had this resume coming in. 46-0 over Eastern Illinois. 20-17 over East Carolina. 40-13 loss to Georgia. 16-10 loss to Kentucky. 23-14 victory over Troy. That was their highest point total there. Besides that, 46-0 over Illinois. Their highest FBS opponent there. 45-20 loss to Tennessee. And a 21-20 victory, last second touchdown over Vanderbilt. 44 and coming off of a 44-14 loss to Texas A&M a couple weeks ago. So, Dan Mullen, you lost to a head coach with that resume in year one, and you in year 13. Yeah. So, you decided to bring back Todd Grantham for another season when it was clear the move should have been last year. So what happens? A third-string quarterback that comes from FCS St. Francis lit up a defensive coordinator for 459 yards. A team that averaged 3.4 yards a carry, rushed for 6.8 yards a carry, doubled their output, rushing attempts here, or rushing yards per attempt there versus Todd Grantham in this defense that you decided to bring back once more. 84 yards versus Florida for South Carolina. 284 yards. They averaged 117 yards rushing. But no. Let's not stop there. Let's throw it back to Dan Mullen and his side of the ball, this offense. This team that had been able to run the ball pretty well toward the beginning of the season, and we've seen a dip, and that dip is now where we stand. Run game, just like the team's falling off of a cliff. South Carolina come in giving up 4.4 yards a carry, 88th in the country. 4.4 yards a carry. That's what they were giving up, 88th in the country. And the Gators had a whopping 3.2. That was much worse than that during the meat of the game. Florida could not run the ball at all. Standard runs, short yardage runs, it didn't matter. Florida could not run the ball. And on another defense coming into this game that could not stop the run. And Florida not being able to keep up, not able to replicate at all what we saw earlier this year. This team didn't want to be there. You could clearly see that. South Carolina takes advantage. Credit to them. They wanted to play. They wanted to be there. Sure didn't look like Florida wanted to be there. So let's take a couple look at stats here, or some stats here, of course, before we move on. But, 459 total yards there for South Carolina. Gators 82 rushing yards. There you go. Carolina 202 more yards rushing there. There's your story of the game, of course. Florida 6 penalties compared to South Carolina's 1. Where's the discipline of this team? Another avenue that keeps showing up every single week. Where's the mental approach from this team? That starts up top, not there. 6 penalties for the Gators, 64 yards. Third down, Gators been terrible on third down all year. Not much better. 3 of 10 here. South Carolina, not great either. Had some early conversions for third downs that made a difference in the game. But all game, 2 for 12. Okay, whoop-de-doo. Didn't really mean a whole lot. 2 for 3 on fourth down, so they're able to make it up a little bit. 10 more plays in the Gators that South Carolina run, 66 to 56. So average yards per play, South Carolina with 7, of course, but the big difference, yards per rush, 6.8 yards per rush for Carolina. You control the ground game that much, you're going to win pretty much every game you play. But there you go. If you're watching the YouTube version, take a little bit more look at the stats there. Florida got in the backfield a few times, not able to come up sack. Something else you've pretty much been able to count on with this Todd Grantham defense. Playing quarterbacks like this, and nope, one sack. So even, I said, the run game from earlier this season's been there, or had been there, was a force earlier in the season. I guess able to take advantage of some weaker opponents, which we wanted to see because Florida hadn't even done that in the last couple of years. And you had the Alabama game, you had a Tennessee game, you saw all that rushing yardage, and now we've just seen the big dip, and it just kind of stay there. Same for sacks for this defense. All those toward the beginning of the season, racked them up versus FAU and USF, and now as the season kind of played out, those have teetered off. So this team nowhere near where they were in the beginning of the season. Of course, we're in SEC play now, but teams you should have been able to take advantage of: LSU, South Carolina, Kentucky. And that Kentucky win or loss is not looking all that great. So games if you're Florida, if you're the Florida, most people expect Florida to be, those are games you don't lose. And now I've seen how this season's playing out, even worse. So, of course, probably bring it up. Don't want to bury this part of it. But, this team, of course, battling the flu. That was something that came up during the game. I mentioned it last Friday on one of the pod episodes. I don't remember if it was a Gators Breakdown Plus episode. I think it was on the Twitter Spaces chat Friday that there was the flu running through the team. I didn't know a number at the time. I didn't know how serious it was at the time. That's why I didn't blow it up any more than that. I had just heard that the team had the flu. Of course, it spreads like wildfire, of course. But I didn't have any more info than that. And then, of course, a couple hours before kickoff, started hearing, I was talking to Nick Delatorre right before the game, and a lot of starters. We were piecing together some starters were definitely affected all throughout the week. We know Emory Jones at quarterback was, Copeland, Carter, all those guys gotten hit by it, but that's not the reason. What we saw last night, maybe small smidgen part of it, maybe some effect, sure. South Carolina played better. They wanted it more. That much is clear. A quote from Dan Mullen: "We had anywhere from 20 to 30 guys missing practice every day this week," he said in the post game. I give some guys credit. Emory tested positive for the flu this morning. Makes me wonder why maybe he was playing, but okay. We had several guys not even come out onto the field, onto the bus. I didn't want to make an excuse for those guys, but I want to give our guys credit for battling with facing adversity. We had a bunch of guys dealing with sickness. We had to fly some guys up separately from the team, keep everybody separated. Those guys still went out, even though there was a large number of guys that missed practice. We had quite a few. Our training staff tried to do a good job today of IVing guys and trying to get them ready to be able to go out and perform. So, yeah, credit for those guys to, if they were battling flu and all that stuff all week, credit. But that's, they can sit here and everything we've seen from the late last year to now. Could it play some part? Absolutely. But we've seen LSU ravaged, whether it be injuries, whether it be sit-outs, holdouts for those guys. It doesn't matter the circumstance. They go out and compete. This Gator team's not doing it. Once again, the biggest takeaway, this Florida team can't match up physically. With middle-of-the-road SEC teams and mix in that mentality from up top, it filters down. Look, it wasn't going to be an instant fix this week, but it's obvious that whole bunker mentality, cutoff approach, it didn't help at all. Not one bit. This team wasn't prepared whatsoever for South Carolina, a team that wanted to be there, a team that wanted to play, a team that was going to come punch Florida right in the mouth. And they played like it. So it's almost right now at this point in the season, it feels like let's just get through the season. Once again, go back to the late last year is exactly what it felt like. COVID ravaged the team. I think it's kind of a built-in excuse. Let's just get through it. And I get that same feeling right here. So it almost feels like, let's just get through the season and not being the best you can be just for the sake of being the best. Just seems like they want to get through it, going through the motions. There's nothing mentally strong about these string of losses and approach under Mullen since late last season. Where is that want to? Where is that focus just to be better? It's not there. That going back to what we heard about that team meeting last Monday after the loss to Georgia, that outburst from Mullen, the accountability meeting this past week, looks like it just fell on deaf ears. And look, I even brought it up last week, probably too little too late, honestly, when you look at it. And another example of being reactive, not proactive approach there, way too little too late to win players back going, Alabama, Kentucky, LSU, Georgia. Way too late. And you can sit here and say, yeah, they have a lot to play for, a lot third of the season, the competitive nature. Where's that competitive nature? From top down. So, look, these issues were there to get out in front of and not let them repeat, and they repeated. They looked the same for the last 3 games here. A team that just doesn't want to go out there and play. I mean, they put that much into the Bama game, really? Honestly? I mean, your season's over with after that? Come on. Still have much more to play for. But, I mean, honestly, we've said it before, going back a few weeks ago, this team just isn't good. Yeah, you played Bama tough. Okay, whoop-de-doo. You played Bama tough last year. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, is that what we're going to define our seasons on now? When we play Bama, we sit here and check mark we played them tough? No, that ain't good enough. That kind of seems to be the mindset. It's in the mentality of this team right now. Just forward after that. And I think it starts. I think the filters down. I think the mentality filters down there. What would go late last season of sitting out players versus LSU and okay, this game. It's in a way sending a signal that the game don't matter. Bowl game, that game don't matter. Well, I think eventually once these losses start piling up and that this game don't matter, it filters down. think it filters down. Now, the mindset of this team, I think it's fractured right now. I don't know how you get it back. I honestly don't know how you get it back. That's the scary part right now. That goes into a lot of the big picture discussion we'll have on this episode of Gators Breakdown. But, oof. You got destroyed by, at the time in the SEC, bad SEC team. Average overall, they were sitting at 4-4 South Carolina, but a bad SEC team. Well, okay. Well, we were a bad SEC team too. 2 bad SEC teams played and one dominated the other. That's not a Gator look. That's not the Gator standard. We'll get into some big picture stuff here. I promise. Before we do, more is always better. And that's why MyBookie instantly doubles all first-time deposits. With double the funds, you can double your action and, more importantly, double your wins. Getting in on the action has never been easier. I can bet with all my favorite currencies, including crypto. With all that extra scratch, why not get in on the biggest matchups of the week at MyBookie? As we inch closer to the NFL playoffs, there's some pivotal games coming up, so be on the lookout for the upcoming showdown versus division rival San Francisco 49ers as they take on the Los Angeles Rams coming up. Behind MVP candidate Matt Stafford, the Rams are looking to continue rolling as they take on that tough 49er defense. Will you take the Rams to cover the spread? So don't wait. Head over to MyBookie today to redeem your deposit bonus so you can get in the game. Start winning now. Use my promo code Gators to receive double your first deposit instantly. That's promo code Gators so you can double your funds to double your winnings. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Holiday season also approaching, and I'm giving thanks to our friends at Manscaped. Gift yourself or someone who needs it the Manscaped Performance Package. Join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with 20% off plus free shipping with the code GatorsBreak20 by going to manscaped.com. Performance Package 4.0 includes, of course, the Lawnmower 4.0. This 4th-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. Performance Package also includes the Weed Whacker. This nose and ear trimmer is the best I have ever tried. It's the only one out there that works, I promise you. After trimming your footballs, show them some love with Manscaped's liquid formulations. The Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and the Crop Reviver Ball Toner are here to take your ball game to the next level. Manscaped even throws in 2 free gifts with the Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers, and the Shared Travel Bag. But Manscaped, they don't stop there. They've been busy. They just launched their Refined Body Wash and 2-in-1 shampoo plus conditioner. Both feature the Manscaped signature scent. Your body will be oh so fresh and oh so clean when you start off your self-care routine with the ultimate body wash, shampoo, and conditioner. Get it all, 20% off plus free shipping with the code GatorsBreak20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code GatorsBreak20 at manscaped.com. Oh, look, here we go. Look, what's crazy about this South Carolina game? Well, last night, it's not just another loss. It really is. It's not. Worst loss in the history of Florida, South Carolina. A 23-point loss for the Gators. Most points ever scored by South Carolina. Mullen, again, making history on the wrong reasons for Florida football right now. That leads me, change needs to be made. He isn't just losing. He's losing in record fashion, to teams that if Florida is Florida, you have a separation against. And that's not what we're seeing right now. Losing to Kentucky, losing to South Carolina, losing to terrible LSU teams. No sense in it. And this was the perfect example for a team that no longer believes. A team that no longer, to me, doesn't believe in the direction. That's what it shows right now. A team that no longer believes in their coaches. That's the gist I get of it. Perception's reality right now for me. Could be true, could not be true. But that's what's out there. This program is rock bottom right now. And look, 2 scenarios. There's 2 scenarios in play. Mullen makes these program sweeping changes, or Florida makes program sweeping changes. That's the 2 scenarios we have here. Either the head coaches should make the changes. They're giving the opportunity to make those changes, or they make the changes, and it starts with Dan Mullen. And I was on board with the first, let Mullen kind of decide what to do moving forward. But once the players lose their passion, their focus, their confidence, and what I think the belief in this staff, to me, it's hard to get it back. It's clear to me. I don't. Mullen's head. I don't know where it is. I don't know if it's in the right place to lead this program. I mean, obviously, it's not sitting at 4-4 or 4-5. It's not. I think last season took a lot out of him. I still believe in wanting to be in the NFL talk. I think he thought he might get that chance last season. He didn't check himself back in. I don't think he's fully back in yet. And mentally, I mean, he can sit here and say he is. I just don't know. How do you fully buy in or buy back in when you're out there? I don't see it. I really don't. If he hasn't lost a team, then it may be more the team taking on his mentality, his approach, which that isn't great either. I would prefer either one. And here's the thing. When Dan Mullen was hired, we always get this, very high floor. There's not going to be a low floor with Dan Mullen. We don't know where the ceiling is, but we know where the floor is. Well, that wasn't true. 4-5, year 4? That high floor is going away. That floor, it's demolished. I never bought into it, but for the ones that didn't want to buy the big picture of recruiting, I put this out on Twitter today. It got some good responses. Where's all this development and coaching we were supposed to get with this staff? That was supposed to take a dip in year 4? Nah, shouldn't it be getting better? Shouldn't the development of your players be getting better? Should that make this team even better? I mean, we're asking ourselves these questions in year 4. A head coach that's been coaching for 13 years and just got whooped, out-coached by a first-year head coach, and now that's one who's backed himself into a corner with a lack of recruiting that has now gotten worse. And that fallback of development and coaching is not there. It's not. When was the last time you've been able to point to it? Oh, well, these 2 Alabama games. Okay. Where's the other ones? No quarterback ready in year 4. Offense that's supposed to be your bread and butter with no physicality to it whatsoever. A lack of talented players in the trenches. Speaking of the trenches, other side of the ball. They're relying on transfers that there aren't any difference makers. I think we hoped they would be, but they're not. But just they're honestly right now just needed for depth. As this season's played out, they're getting beat by offenses that haven't been able to run the ball all year until they play Florida. And get this. I mean, this is what it is. This is what it is right now. Teams are taking advantage of playing Florida. Florida's their feel-good game. Kentucky, LSU, South Carolina, all taking advantage of a uninterested, undisciplined, unfocused Florida program. And not to take away one of the rare wins Florida's had this year, but you want to play Tennessee right now? I don't. Of course, you don't take the way you win from Florida. Give them all the credit in the world for winning that game, but I wouldn't want to play Tennessee right now. That's where we're at. That's where we're sitting. That's where we're sitting right now. Mullen in year 4, all these years coaching in the SEC, sits here losing to a first-year head coach, Shane Beamer, at South Carolina. Looking up at him in the SEC standings right now because you lost to him. Also, you're looking up to go along with first-year Tennessee head coach Josh Heupel. These guys with little to no pedigree compared to Mullen. Mullen's sitting up here looking at him, looking up at him in the standings. Come on. Okay, and just think about that. Make sense of that. Make sense of this. Losing Ed Orgeron 3 times at Florida. On the last 2, a mass unit for LSU that responds in a way you would have hoped to see Florida respond the way they should have versus South Carolina. But nope. Orgeron working on an escape plan the week of after playing Florida just to get his team together, completely embarrass Florida for the second season in a row. Is that where we should be right now? Behind first-year head coaches in the SEC? behind a lame duck coach that's fired 2 seasons after winning the national championship? Is that where Dan Mullen should be? Year 4? No. These performances are embarrassing. These evaluations are embarrassing. How far away is this program from the Gator standard? That's embarrassing. All the critiques of this program, they're fair at the moment. There's nothing off limits right now. And look, I give you guys a voice a whole lot. And a lot of people will fire back at me, you can't listen to all this. I'm all for people speaking their minds. And right now, none of the critiques are too far. Where's the hope? Where's the evidence this gets fixed? There's currently none, me, except in blind faith and optimism. Guess where that usually gets you? Sometimes it works out. Most time it doesn't. And I didn't think I'd find myself here this season. You guys know me. I'll speak my mind. I'll shy away. A couple weeks ago. All right, Dan Mullen, just make the changes. Just make the changes. I'm off that bandwagon now. I'm unapologetically conservative and fiery coaches. You guys know that about me. I'm admittedly behind when it comes to that line of thought. I respect many of you out there that get to that point faster than I do. You get it. You get some for good reason. But some people, of course, throw it out there just to be first. But regardless, that line of thinking pays off. I don't see the hope. I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel anymore. And is it an overreaction to one South Carolina game? No. Putting it all together. Not just because Florida lost to South Carolina. I didn't envision that when I said, okay, Dan Mullen, I'll give him one more year to see, do some changes. And a lot of you, of course, were ready to move on. Credit to you. I was willing to, as I said, I'm conservative. I know it. I was willing to let by. But no, you add this to the mix. What we saw last night in Columbia, nah. I don't see the hope. I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel anymore. Can it get better? Sure. You decide to keep him. Yeah, it can get better. Can it get better to the point of Florida being contenders? I don't think so under Dan Mullen. And I know being contenders sounds silly at the moment, but that's the Gator standard. He knew about that. He preached about that when he came in. I don't think his approach matches the standard. That might be his standard, but it's not the Gator standard. Look, so many chances to take advantage in 2018, 2019. But I think that got Mullen, that early success, I think it got him comfortable in his way and that he thought it was going to work. Took someone else's players, had a lot of success. Credit to you. You developed the heck out of those guys. But instead of using that as a launching point, he used that as a ceiling. Never took advantage. Instead, turned that into rock bottom somehow. His recruiting, his development, his coaching has this team far from competing. Not just with the big boys of college football, the big boys of the SEC, but the SEC in general. This is an overreaction. There's many aspects we've pointed to getting here, connecting these dots all along the way. There's many we've pointed to here on this podcast, and many of you out there pointed to as well. That got us to this point. So taking all this into account, where's the evidence this gets fixed? Where's the level that it can get to the level that it needs to be? There is none. Once again, blind hope and optimism. That isn't guaranteed. Dan Mullen's done some great things at Florida. He made Florida football fun again. I'll always give him credit for that. But couldn't build on that. There was a huge opportunity to build on that, and you didn't. It doesn't look like fun lately. It doesn't feel fun lately as a fan. Columbia was not fun last night. Jacksonville was not fun a couple weeks ago. A lot of other fans who make all these road trips. Baton Rouge wasn't a joy. This team on the road this year, you haven't given your fans a whole lot to cheer about. Look, of course, like I said, a couple weeks ago, I was all for giving Mullen a chance, sweeping changes to the staff. I don't think that's enough anymore. When the other aspects of this program that we have been able to count on as advantages come crashing down, I'll lose my hope I had. Pair that with the issues of recruiting that I've always put out there. It's time for change. Time for some change. Now, look, I'm not making a decision. You're not making the decision. Does Dan Mullen survive this? I think that's the question we have to ask ourselves. As it stands, I think he does. I believe at this moment right now, I don't think it matters how loud the boosters get. I don't see the administration. I don't see Scott Strickland making a change. Who knows? Who knows where the mind of this athletic department is right now? That's another aspect of this. Is football a top priority? It is for me. It is for you. Even if so, at administration, do they see their commitment to football as change right now? Would the administration give Dan Mullen a chance to make these sweeping changes, these staff changes, and Mullen saying he'll do what he needs to do to turn it around? Is that enough for them? They were happy. They were happy with last season making the small-scale defensive changes, used as a scapegoat of Grantham's lackluster defense. So do even more losses need to happen from here on out? Does Mullen need to have more PR gaffes? I don't know. But I don't think it happens as everything stands right now. But that was me a couple weeks ago, too, in my thoughts, as it stood right there, and I didn't want to get rid of Dan Mullen. As I sit here right now, and Florida's 4-5, I still don't think it's enough for the administration to make a change. But I'm ready. I just don't. The light at the end of the tunnel is no longer there for me. He just dug himself a hole. And I don't think the timelines are going to match up. I don't see it. I don't see it. All right, so there's big picture look a little bit. We'll get back into the South Carolina game. But look, how did I get to the point I got to just then on my rant? Hopefully I feel like a lot of you. I know I've talked to you a lot of you yesterday, before the game, during the game, after the game. Of course, on social media, here and there. Not as much because I've been traveling from Columbia. It was not a fun trip, by the way, as far as the game itself. Now, the tailgating and hanging out with my wife's side of the family, that was a blast. Columbia is very high in that regard, but fans let us have it. So that was one of the worst I've been treated there in Columbia. But look, hey, go win the game, Florida. It wouldn't feel as bad. But enjoyed the time with family, enjoyed the time with friends there on the road. So I've seen some people I haven't seen, from friends I haven't seen in a long time. So a lot of good fun in that. But how do we get to this point? The feelings that I just laid out because of what transpired Saturday night in Columbia. So look back at the game, just a couple storylines for me. Florida comes out slinging the ball against a team that could not stop the run. Now, some of those are RPOs, of course. South Carolina was given pass and certain looks. Florida's going to pass. Florida just wouldn't line up and run it, and it turns out it really wouldn't have mattered. We saw Florida not being able to establish the run whatsoever. Florida's first 10 plays, all passes. Set up a 7-3 lead. You got a lead there. Also in that early barrage, the deep pass was there for Emory in the passing game. 2 long gains. Emory to Justin Shorter for 52 yards. Another for true freshman Marcus Burke making an appearance. There's one positive. We talk about some of these young guys being able to make a name for themselves in this program. And here we go, Marcus Burke, true freshman, with a 61-yard catch on the road there. So nice to see early for Florida. Just hoping that would something be Florida could build off of. But nope, not sustainable whatsoever. Emory was 8 of 11 after hitting Burke on that 61-yard gain. He was 8 of 11 for 163 yards. Emory would only go on to complete 9 more passes on 19 attempts, only to go on to throw for 95 yards after that start, the longest being a 21-yarder. 5 yards per attempt after starting out 8 of 11 for 163 yards. Ended the day with 2 touchdown passes. Also had another interception into the mix. So for the day, 17 of 30, 258 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Only 26 yards on the ground on 11 rush attempts, 2.4 yards carry. So no run game for the running backs. Once again, little for the quarterback. This run game nowhere near where it was earlier this season. Opponents aren't scared of the passing game. Florida can't open up holes up front. Just getting manhandled up front. What did we hear all last week? Athletic puts out an article, another sign of a soft football team. Defense, once again, just doesn't show up. We spoke about it earlier. Gets ran over. Can't stop a counter play again. Once again, looks soft. Remember that athletic article that came out last week detailing opposing coaches' thoughts on just how soft Florida is, mostly on the defensive side of the ball? Well, play out again. Sure, South Carolina could just watch film and see it. They did. Sure, coaches talked to each other behind the scenes out there. Wasn't going to be a huge secret. And we saw it with our own eyes. But it's not just that. Remember these things, while not great to point out, some of these things you could always count on from Grantham to take advantage of, even when the defense hasn't been great. And that's for him to take advantage of a certain level of quarterback. Didn't matter. Didn't matter what level. Jason Brown, didn't matter what level of defense he faced at St. Francis. St. Francis, not the rigors of the SEC, ACC, Big 12, Pac-12, Sun Belt, MAC, WAC. Talking St. Francis here. He was ready for a Todd Grantham defense. Imagine that. Starting 12 of 15, a touchdown, 132 yards. And that was enough, as he only finished the game 14 of 24 for 175 yards. Started 12 of 15 for a touchdown, 132 yards. Ended 14 of 24 for 175 yards. But he came out hot. That was enough. In that 12 of 15 start, he converted a 3rd and 12 for a first down and a 3rd and 8 for a 24-yard touchdown. That was the only 2 third down conversions for the whole game for South Carolina. But they were early, and they were enough. Grantham had no answer. Hey, once again, early, no answer. Florida found itself in another hole. Hey, surprise. This time to a third-string quarterback making his first start for South Carolina. Unacceptable. And here's the problem. Unacceptable once again. The one wide receiver that was a threat for South Carolina, everyone knew coming into the game. Josh Vann, okay, well, he only goes for 111 yards on 7 catches and a touchdown. He had half of the receptions from Brown. So pair that with the softness and undisciplined nature of the Florida defense that gives up 128 yards on 16 carries to Kevin Harris. Another 111 is DeCondre White on 13 carries. Those two contributed 6 explosive runs with a long of 39 yards for Harris, 54 for White. So all this meant last 3 games, the Gators have surrendered 321 yards to LSU on the ground, 193 to Georgia, 284 to South Carolina. When you gave up more yards to LSU and South Carolina, teams that can't run the ball, than you did against Georgia, who can run the ball, but still almost let them go for 200 yards. I mean, LSU and South Carolina, 2 of the worst rush offenses in college football, and they completely dominate this Florida defense. But let's bring back Todd Grantham for another year, when everybody in the world could see you don't bring him back. Dan Mullen, you laid in this bed. You laid in this bed, and this is what you get. Everybody in the world knew you don't bring Todd Grantham back. You could have bought yourself a little bit of goodwill there. Nope. Gator Nation, I'm sorry. This is terrible. This is not fun whatsoever. But that's where we sit. 4-5. Get dominated by South Carolina in year 4 of Dan Mullen. Year after winning the SEC East. Look, I get up and down years. But can't say, with everything we've kind of warned about, I didn't see this coming. Don't get me wrong. As I said, the things we've been able to count on, you pair that with the warning signs we told you about recruiting, this is what you get. If you're not going to do the things you're supposed to do well, pair it with the things you already don't do well, this is what you get. All right, so the tweet I put out there of, even if you're not that big into recruiting, kind of like I just said here, where is the coaching and development that was supposed to close the gap? As I said, these aspects have actually widened the gap this season. Yeah, you lost a lot of talent. Admittedly, I told you this offense was going to take a step back. Now, I didn't think this big of a step back, but I expected a step back. But I still thought Dan Mullen can game plan with this style of offense. I was admittedly, now, don't get me wrong, I wasn't too high on this defense. Expected some improvement. We've seen some improvement, but not right now. I mean, that's like I said, it's at the point right now. There's a point of no return this season. I think they started out a little bit better, but kind of the same for the offense, same for the whole team. Once some film got out there, once some tape got out there, Florida can't recover from that. No adaptability, no changes. All right, so with that, look, always been about interaction here on Gators Breakdown. Started that whole Twitter Spaces stuff, but right here on this Sunday, after this demoralizing loss, I'm going to get some of your guys' thoughts in here. I'll start with a lot of my Gators Breakdown, or a few of my Gators Breakdown Plus members. So the response to even if you're not that big into recruiting, where has this coaching and development been? Eagle One Gator says it's either one or the other. Obviously, he chooses to develop over gathering high-level talent. Problem is, the development's not good at this point. Robert Guagliardo, it's obvious he's checked out. From his time at Mississippi State and his first 2 years here, his teams haven't been this undisciplined or soft. Something changed, and the only thing I can think of is he doesn't want to be here for whatever reason. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter if that's true or not. That perception's out there. That's hard to win the fan base back. And this isn't just a small thought. This thought is out there a lot. It's out there away from social media. Of course it's on social media. I mean, a lot of people, there's a voice for everybody right there. But I use my dad as an example a lot here. He couldn't even tell you how to turn an iPhone. Well, he's got an iPhone, but he couldn't even tell you how to turn Twitter on. He couldn't tell you even how to download the app Twitter. Doesn't listen to social media, doesn't really listen. He doesn't even listen to my podcast. So that's how untech savvy that goes. I talk to him, of course, multiple times a week, but of course, after every game. And my dad, in his 60s, doesn't look like Dan Mullen wants to be here to me. He ain't getting that opinion from me. He's not getting it from social media. He's getting it from his own eyeballs. Just sitting there watching and listening to football games and press conferences. People can sit here and say social media slants it all, and it's not a representation. It is a representation. Even more and more now. That thought's just not out there on social media. It's out there. So whether it's true or not, the narrative is out there, and it's getting out. That's going to help recruiting? I don't think so. There's another example right now, the point of no return. It definitely looks like there's something. I don't think he's all there either in this job. I don't mean all there and mentally, of course. I don't mean it like that. I don't think he's all into Florida right now. We deserve better. All right, tweets. Here we go. B-Dub. These players have quit on these coaches and have no confidence in them. Mullen has destroyed the hope and confidence of those he recruited by mishandling them and not utilizing their abilities. Dan has to go along with Grantham. This ship has sailed. Kevin Bronner says, bingo, this has been my whole point. We aren't even performing to the level of the recruiting classes. We average 12th ranked recruiting classes, but are below 500, which should be at least a top 15 team nationally if you just perform the level that you recruit. And then, Florida's 7th in the 24/7 Sports Composite as well. If we've always been lauding Dan Mullen for his coaching and his development, which we rightfully should have, except up to this point, it's not there. Just based on talent, just based on the talent that's on the roster, experience or not experienced, Florida should be ranked. These numbers, of course, you can't go by them, and that's where a lot of the anger comes in. We know Florida's got more talent than what they show here, but we are kind of just putting these two thoughts here together. Mishandling, this defense, so many guys out of position. Injuries play a part, yeah. Okay, but that's where we go back to recruiting a little bit. You got to play guys out of position because you haven't recruited well enough to have guys in position. That's a problem. Drew, I hope I'm saying your name right here. Drew Guidice, Giudice. So sorry, Drew, if I'm mispronouncing that. I definitely apologize there. But he says on Twitter, this is the camp I fall in and why I finally flipped my tune. Something has gone on off the field. Program just feels lost from his control. He wants out. let him go. Oh. Then Jeff Nix. I defended Dan Mullen last week as preparing for South Carolina was priority number one. Team was definitely not prepared. Dan Mullen would never be openly critical of his players or coaches. He looked like a man with no answers on the sidelines last night. Emotionless, and that's how he played. So, yeah, there we go. A lot of, parent recruiting and the falls of the other aspects, and this is kind of what you get. Mullen couldn't afford to fall back on the other aspects on sustaining a program, and that's just been the look ever since late last season. Just the fire, the passion, the control, the development, the coaching, the game management, clock management, penalties, turnovers, all those things that and the little things that add up. A lot of mental side of the game for that, and it's not there. It is not there from the top down. And I really do think that has an effect. Start from the top, and I think it has an effect, and it trickles down. It's tough. It's tough. Sitting 4 and 5. Samford coming up next. That's a game Fargo should win. I know we can sit here and joke. I mean, I'll sit here and say should again. Oh, yeah. But Missouri and FSU certainly, after last night, aren't guaranteed anymore. So, as I said, I think the admin right now will still bringing back Dan Mullen as it stands right now. That's throwing in wins versus Missouri and Florida State. That doesn't happen. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I know what should happen. But there we are. Everybody, thanks here for YouTube. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. I see the chat is firing right now. Thank you guys for joining live. I didn't know what time I was going live today. Driving back from Columbia. But you guys in here, like always, a lot of you, can't thank you enough. Gators Breakdown Plus members, can't thank you enough. I see all the hot board, coaching board talk there in the chat here on YouTube. Thank you so much there. But leave some comments there. That's the live chat going on out there. But hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out there here on the YouTube version. Everybody, thank you so much. But we'll see. Of course, Dan Mullen on Monday will speak to the media. I'll go ahead and tell you here they're going to do it in person now. So I will not be able to take part that I know of. To figure out a lot of things there with the real job to see if I could get down to Gainesville, but it does. No more Zoom press conferences, at least on Mondays. I don't know about after games and such, but was told this will be an in-person press conference for Dan Mullen on Monday, so that will probably keep me out of it for the most part. So we'll see. I don't know. This maybe can add a Zoom component there, but I know a lot of people out there in the consumption world don't mind. We'd rather have the reporters in place there, but it did open it up a little bit for me to take part in those press conferences since I'm here in Jacksonville, not driving down to Gainesville. Maybe we can work something out, but I doubt I'll be there in person on Monday. So we'll see what comes out of that. I have full confidence that everybody who will be able to take part will be asking the tough questions. Of course, a lot of tough questions to be asked, and we'll see how Dan Mullen responds. Another response lately just have not been great. Monday's press conferences after games there. I know a lot of people were throwing shade at Mullen for the band comment, not knowing that they were there. Even there's video of him walking through the band for the Gator Walk before the game. So, but that was in relation to the team fighting or singing the alma mater after the game. So, oh man! But hopefully, I'll find a way to get involved there in the press conferences. But I doubt I can. I've been on vacation this past week too, so. Going to be difficult for me to make it there in person on Monday, but we'll see. I won't completely close the door on it. But all right, Gator Nation. Well, what's like take a look around the SEC right quick if you guys missed it. Missouri, Georgia kicked it off at noon. 43-6 winners, Georgia. Sloppy game for them, but it's still a 43-6 victory for Georgia. Number one team in the country, looking like it every week. Ole Miss 27, Liberty 14. The return of Hugh Freeze there to Oxford. Ole Miss gets the win. Texas A&M, Auburn, I thought would be a better game. I did have A&M winning that game, but 20-3, A&M, they have found their groove after getting that win over Alabama. Auburn was looking good too, but no match for that Texas A&M defense there. 20-3, Texas A&M over Auburn. A little fun game here. Arkansas, Mississippi State, 31-28. Arkansas winners over the Dogs. That was a fun game. I expected the A&M Auburn game to kind of be the more fun game, and knowing Mississippi State and Arkansas had the potential there too, but I think that one took the mantle for probably the best game of the SEC this week, along with Tennessee, Kentucky as well. I mean, 45-42. Tennessee kind of they're rallying. They are looking better and better every week, and now get a win over Kentucky. Kentucky not being able to 3 straight losses now. Georgia, Mississippi State, and now Tennessee. So Kentucky's faltering a bit. Bama 20-14, only 20-14, down for most of the first half versus LSU. And I didn't think that game was going to be close. But look, LSU, and look, I know it's a loss, and I'm sitting here, hate comparing it to Florida's situation a lot, but I'm sitting there playing for their lame duck coach. No hope for that coaching staff, but there they are, playing Alabama to a close loss. No more victories, of course, just kind of taking the mindsets of teams, trying to measure that right now. LSU still fighting with a lame duck head coach. Then, of course, to end the night, 40-17, South Carolina over the Gators. All right, that'll do it for this episode of Gators Breakdown. It hurts. I hate discussing this. I don't like. All right, it's time to move on. I don't like that discussion. I hope I'm wrong, or I hope I'm right. I hope it plays out. Whatever the best scenario is for Florida, I hope it plays out that way. I just don't see the hope anymore. I'm looking at the big picture. I don't know where Florida goes from here by keeping Dan Mullen. There we go. All right, that'll do it for this episode of Gators Breakdown. I'm the host, David Waters. You can find me on Twitter at GatorDave_SEC. Guys and girls out there, thanks for listening to this episode of Gators Breakdown.